Putting a dip in your hip, a glide in your stride. Welcome to the mothership, the home of the travelers of the universe, with shows throughout the week. Everything you want, everything you could need. From the paranormal to the supernatural, from the spiritual to the unknown, from emotions to comedy. You can find us at Facebook, Twitch, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and so much more. This is Rift Nation Network, the RNN. And now, your featured show. Shall we begin?
Sensitive/offensive content disclaimer. Please note that this podcast may contain material that some listeners may find sensitive, offensive, or disturbing. We strive to create respectful and informative content, but topics discussed may include mature themes such as violence, explicit language, or controversial subjects, triggering content including discussions related to mental health, trauma, or other sensitive issues, explicit language. Occasionally, our guests or hosts may use strong language. While we aim to handle these topics with care and empathy, we encourage listeners to exercise discretion. If you find any content distressing, consider skipping or seeking support. Remember that this podcast is not a substitute for professional advice. If you need assistance, please consult a qualified expert.
Happy Wednesday, friends. I hope everybody's doing well. You are watching Mysteries Beyond the Scenes, and I'm your host, Joni Skinner, on the Rift Nation Network. We are streaming live on Facebook, Twitch, and of course, YouTube. So welcome in. Come on in, everybody. Hello, Miss Tammy. Hello, Linda, Denise, Lee, Howie. I hope everybody's doing well this Wednesday evening. Guess what, friends? We're almost at Christmas. I know, panic's setting in. Panic! I'm not ready, but it will get done. I'm ready. My tree's up. That's all that matters. Do y'all have your trees up? If you have your tree up, you are ready to go. Thanks, Miss Renee, for sharing out. I hope y'all had a great Thanksgiving, wonderful time with your friends and family, and had a good meal, and just a wonder. Thanksgiving is a nice holiday. The astrology was good. It was not argumentative. It was not fiery. It was just pretty calm. So let's just hope that goes through Christmas. We'll see. We'll look at it before Christmas so that we'll all be prepared. We'll all know the astrology. You guys, I am going to get started because I don't know if y'all have been following this particular case this evening on true crime. It's been in all the publications, all over social media. This case on Hannah Kobayashi. Hannah Kobayashi, beautiful 31-year-old girl from Maui. She flew from Maui to catch a connector in LA to go to New York for a vacation. Missing. This particular case, you guys, and this is not like one of our normal missing person cases. Law enforcement, every day, something is twisting and turning on this case since November the 8th. Actually, November the 11th. I've been kind of keeping an eye on this case, thinking, is she really missing? Did she maybe go with a boyfriend? What, you just, 31 years old. This is not a 20-year-old that went to the beach. She's 31. What is going on with this case? Wait until we dig into this very bizarre case. And even today, more information was released. We've got law enforcement from LA saying, she voluntarily is missing. We respect her privacy. We wish she would communicate with her family to stop them from worrying. But there's nothing we can do if somebody voluntarily leaves or decides not to contact their family. And there is nothing they can do. Now, the family has lawyered up, which, you guys know me. I've been in that field for 20 some odd years. I would lawyer up if I got a speeding ticket. I would lawyer up just to have a friend on retainer. I think it's always a good idea in a missing persons case to have a lawyer. It's an excellent idea. I would never think that as being weird or out of line for a family to do that. They've also contacted a private investigator, apparently. The family has also taken down all of their social media information. And as you all know, when somebody goes missing, where does it go? Where does it get action? And where does it get footing? Social media. It's the best place. It gets her out there. It gets her picture out there. It gets her poster out there. So apparently, from a statement, the family stated that they were getting too much negativity, too many threats, too much this and that. And so they had to walk away from it. And I get that too. The family has also stated that law enforcement did not divulge things to them. They were kept in the dark. So on one hand, we've got law enforcement saying we were in touch and very transparent with the family the entire time. And on the other hand, the other end of the spectrum, we've got family members saying, no, they weren't. It's a little weird, but we'll get into that. But, and it's funny, Linda, because you were there Saturday night. Remember, Linda, I said, we've got Neptune. Now, Neptune is the energy that clouds us. Neptune is the illusion. It's delusion. And Saturday night, we talked about the strength of Neptune because it's moving in a particular fashion. And I said, you guys watch from now until March. The weirdness is going to start. And it's not what's up is down, what's down is up, which we're used to. We've had this weirdness for 13 years. But we're going to see weirdness like we've never seen before, similarly to what has happened to Hannah Kobayashi. Did Hannah leave on her own accord? Now, apparently from all the videos, she is walking clearly. She's got her luggage with her. She's speaking to, at the port of entry, she had her passport. Those people are very aware. If you get a bus ticket or if you go to a port of entry, they're not just ticket takers. Those people are very aware and in tune with everybody that they talk to. So I think if a person was checking her into Mexico with her passport, she's an American citizen, the agents are very alerted to things that aren't normal. So I don't know. We'll go through her timeline. I'm going to show you what the astrology is saying. Now, Another funny thing with this case is there is a GoFundMe set up like families normally do. It's expensive. They need posters. They have fees. They have a lot of money. It costs a lot of money for a family when somebody goes missing. They have $50,000 in this GoFundMe. Now that the police are saying, hey, we alerted the family, they knew all this, people are starting to say, hey, we want our money back. This was not a missing persons case. So it's a mess. So we'll try to decipher it and go through all the facts. She's a lovely young girl. I hope she's safe. I hope everything turns out okay for her. And if she is going through some issues, when people, and I'm not saying she does because there's absolutely no evidence that's even pointed this way. If somebody's going through a rough mental time, mental illness, you don't see a bruise, you don't see a cut, you don't see a cast, you don't see somebody on crutches. So it's hard to relate to it when people do have mental issues, and they do. And with this, I'm telling you, with Neptune, the way it's going from now until, I'm going to say February, I'm going to tell you what, this is the kind of stuff we're going to see. This is the stuff that we're going to see. It's confusing. Is it an illusion? Is it a delusion? We don't know. I'll say a little prayer for Hannah and her family. There's some interesting twists and turns. So let's get started on it. Let's get started. I hope you guys, like I said, had a great Thanksgiving. Now, if you all noticed in the headlines today, and I wanted to post this before Brian Thompson, healthcare CEO, was assassinated in front of the Hilton Hotel in New York City, right in front of a witness, right out in the morning, right there, right out in the open. And in New York City, multimillionaire, a United Healthcare CEO. So I thought, what is this? So we're going to take a look at Mr. Thompson's chart too. Hi, Lois. How are you, hon? This is a picture that the police just released. This is the assassin. Now, the police in New York did a press conference, and they said that the assassin's weapon jammed, and he immediately knew what to do. And I'm not a weapons expert by any means, but he knew how to unjam it. I guess you can do that. I don't know. But the police said that only somebody that had training and knew firearms would know what to do with a jammed weapon. Unjammed it, fired again, and he's unalived. The last they know, he went into Central Park on an electric bike. But here is the assailant. Now, of course, social media went crazy and said, oh, it was somebody that tried to get health benefits and couldn't get a policy. Well, I think that's a little silly. I don't think somebody would. And this guy knew what he was doing. So let's take a look. Wait till you all see this event chart. You are going to flip. Look at this. Okay, here's the event chart. It was at 6:42 a.m. this morning in New York. So the CEO is described by Sagittarius over in the first house. Remember, the victim is always in the first house, the ascendant. So it's Sagittarius. The planet that rules Saggy is Jupiter. It's directly across in the seventh house. Jupiter. What is the seventh house in forensic astrology? It's open enemies. This was an open enemy of his. The perp is represented by Aries. It's the opposite, or my bad. Gemini is represented by Mercury. Mercury is in the first house, right in front of whenever you have a crime chart and the perp is in the first house, that means the perp is right in front of the guy, right in front of the victim, right face to face. They're right in front of him. Sure enough, he shot him in the back. It's an older man because it's the sun. Look at the sun up there in the ascendant in the first house, right next to Mercury. So now we know that the perp is an open enemy. We know it's an older man. We are going to take that Mercury and follow it up into the 9th house. Mars would be the weapon and the violence that occurred. What's the 9th house? It's the courts, the court system. Court system. Uh-oh. Do we have an open enemy of this particular CEO that has a court case? So of course I crept it. I was creeping it. Sure enough, look at the second house. What does the second house represent? It's money. So we've got our perp, our victim is always represented. It's the co-ruler of the moon. So we've got Jupiter and the moon represent the victim. Second house, money. Hitting Uranus, unexpected, out of nowhere. Here comes an assassin. But look what else is in there. In Venus. What? Is that a woman? Or is that the stock market? Because Venus represents the stock market in money. Second house. So, sure enough, I did a little snooping. And Mr. CEO of United Healthcare sold a bunch of his stocks and made $15 million. It was some kind of insider trading thing. The DOJ is investigating him right now. And it's all there. It's all in the chart. And also, we look in the 4th house hitting Neptune, so it was filmed. They're going to have videos of this guy. This guy's going to get caught. Whoever it is, they're going to get busted. But I thought it was pretty interesting that the astrology told us, okay, there was something with stock markets, unexpected, in the 9th house courts, and they are in court right now. The DOJ is investigating this guy, and he was assassinated. So I think this is far deeper than somebody not getting a health benefit. According to the astrology, they need to look at his open enemies. It's huge. It's right there. So it's all there. 7th house, like that, it represents the perp, and it also represents your open enemies because he is in the 7th house of this open enemy. And also, Gemini represents 2 people. So I'm not so sure that this perp, they're not going to find out that the perp was picked up in Central Park somewhere by a car because there were 2 people involved. So that's that. So keep an eye on this story, you guys, and we'll keep an eye on it and watch it unfold because they're gonna get to this. They're gonna find out. I think that's all I saw in the chart. Pretty much it's all there. We got Saturn is hitting apparently Saturn is hitting the maybe the perp. No, the victim, Saturn, would be Bones, and he was struck in the back. Yeah. There we go. So there's that. And Leo, if you look up in the 9th house, Leo represents like the president or the CEO of a company or a king. It's crazy. It crazy when I saw that. I was like, oh, crap. I should map it, see where the guy goes. But the last time I mapped something like that, they went to the FBI building and I got scared and I put it away. I'm like, I don't want to know where they go. I really don't. I don't want to know where these people go. Keeps me safe. Okay, let's take a. Isn't that crazy, you guys? If you guys got more to add on that, that what happened in New York, let me know. Okay, here she is. What an absolute doll, Hannah. Hannah was on her way from Maui to LA, connecting flight to New York, and law enforcement early on said she missed her connecting flight on purpose. Now, this was on November the 8th. Okay. November the 8th, she flies from Maui to New York to connect, missed the connection. She goes back to LA and has her bag, because if it's a connecting flight, her bag's going to be on its way to New York. And she goes back and has her bag redelivered back to LA. So we know that she intentionally missed the connecting flight. Okay. So that was November the 8th. On November the 11th, she was sending her family text messages saying her account had been hacked. She had all of her funds were missing. She was frightened, blah, blah, blah. That was 3 days later. Okay. However, in between missing the connecting flight, she was going all over Los Angeles, sending Instagrams, going to different places. She was going to different events, taking pictures. She was being a tourist. She was sightseeing. So she went all over. Doesn't seem confused to me. She went all over. She went to a LeBron James event. So she's having fun in LA. She's uploading stuff to Instagram. She's texting her aunt. But then again, she's also texting family saying, oh, I've been hacked. It's not that easy. Blah, blah, blah. Then on November the 12th, she goes to the bus terminal and gets a ticket to Mexico and heads to Mexico. Okay. On November the 14th, LAPD reviewed that video. November the 14th, LAPD knew she had crossed over to Mexico via a pedestrian bridge. On her own, she was fine. She had her bag, and she did not seem to be in any stress whatsoever. Okay? Now, in the meantime, law enforcement saying, we've been very transparent with the family. Well, her father, her biological father, and her aunt go to Los Angeles. They're going on podcasts. They're going on the news. Everybody is looking for Hannah. So if the family knew that Hannah was in Mexico, why would they have gone? Why would they have been in LA going around? She's missing, it doesn't sound like her. She's afraid. We're afraid she's been, picked up against her will. She's not well. That was what they were saying. So fast forward to November 24th. This is where it gets, okay, here's her missing persons case. On November, I think 12th, the family reported her, or 13th, the family reported her missing. So there's her missing persons poster, Hannah Kobayashi. Now, here's her timeline. Misses her connection. She texts her family. She's sightseeing in LA. She's seen at an event in a Nike store. Family receives strange and cryptic, alarming text messages. Hannah is reported missing by her family. Surveillance footage shows her walking alone into a tunnel at the I can't pronounce that. That is at the Mexico border going over to Tijuana. San Ysidro crossing. She crosses the U.S. border into Mexico on the 12th. LA's missing person unit takes over the case. Now, her father, her biological father, apparently was never in her life. She had zero contact with her father. He was at the scene, on social media. He was all over, with posters looking for her. Her father is found unalived at a garage near LAX, where it was one of the last places Hannah was spotted, where he was either jumped, launched, or fell 7 stories. So now we've got Hannah down in Mexico. We've got bio father, who was never in her life, is unalived. Apparent suicide. That's what the medical guy, the coroner, has determined. Her phone is off. This is a picture of her where she's caught on video at the airport, at LA airport. She's caught. Okay, here's a picture of her father. As you can see, there's the Find Hannah posters behind her. It's just bizarre. There's the picture of the garage. Now, they have not released any camera footage, which I'm sure they won't, of him falling or whatever. But they really have not said a whole lot regarding Dad's apparent unaliving, who was not in her life. So I thought, well, let's take a look at Dad's chart. Because we know on forensic astrology charts, if Pluto is in the 12th house or Uranus is in the 8th house, we can be pretty safe to say that it was an unaliving at the hands of themselves as a suicide. Sure enough, Uranus, let's see, I did 4 a.m. That's the time the police got the call. 4 a.m., Uranus is up in the 8th house. So that's a clear indicator from a forensic astrology standpoint that he did it to himself. Or, well, no, I could say it was an accident, but Uranus in the 8th house that's what it means. So we're going to look at him. He is Venus. Venus is next. It's connecting to Uranus, which is him. And then you see the green circle with Pluto, which could indicate the death. If there was a perp involved, it would be the sun. Okay. I don't think there was a perp. It's a weird chart, you guys. It's weird. We've got Neptune opposing the moon at that time, meaning just emotionally a wreck. Could have been alcohol, could have been drug use, because Neptune represents alcohol or drug use. It also represents video. So that kind of clearly shows us that, and also Mercury would be communications, that Dad was having communications of some kind, and a lot of communications with Jupiter attached to Mercury, an abundance. So that pretty well kind of clears the air of Dad's situation. When I saw that Uranus in the 8th house, that kind of just shut the door for me. It's very sad. I mean, perhaps it was an accident. We don't know. For LE to say, or the medical examiner to come out and say, yes, it was a suicide. I don't know. Did they find a note? They haven't told us anything. Did he call somebody? Perhaps he had communications. Apparently, he had communications with someone before this happened. So maybe they talked. That's Dad's chart. If you guys got anything to say, let me know. Okay, there's a picture of Dad with the posters. There's beautiful little Hannah. Maybe Dad was just so grief-stricken and just filled with maybe, perhaps, I don't know his mental state. I don't even want to guess. Just another sad situation. Here is where she crossed to get into Mexico. So if you're up in LA, it's about a 4-hour trip down to the border where she went, to Tijuana. So apparently she's in Tijuana right now. We don't know. The police have said because it was a voluntary situation and she has left the country, that it's going to remain open, but it's a voluntary missing. Her family came out today and said, we aren't stopping. The police have not been forthcoming. So, it's a mess. We're not going to stop. We've got the private investigator. Now we've got a lawyer involved, which, again, that's not surprising. And we want to find out what's going on with her. Who knows? I don't know. I don't know if that's how they operate or not. They do. I do know that when back in the mid 80s, I was on an international flight and it was, let's see, where did it land? Oh, it landed in New York from Egypt. Okay. I was approached on that flight, actually, because I was young then. It was mid 80s, that I would get paid. I'm not kidding. This is not a made up story. A girl asked me if she was from Lebanon. She said, are you single? And I'm like, yeah. They offered me $12,000 if I would marry somebody in the Houston area. And, back in 1980, that was a lot of money. Well, here I am, walking around. I was drinking with the Russian people in the back of the plane, vodka. I didn't know where I was at. I was having fun. And I was like, no, I'm not really interested. And she gave me her number. So that kind of stuff where young girls, it happened to me, years and years ago. I can't doubt that it's not happening now to marry people. They offer money. They did me. So maybe that's, who knows? Who knows? It's crazy. Welcome to Neptune world. Get ready for it, you guys. Because I'm telling you, this is the start of it. Now let's take a look. And the chart really doesn't tell us a whole lot, to be honest with you. She is, again, the first house is ruled by Scorpio. So we look on the chart for the planets that are associated and rule Scorpio. So we have Mars up in the 10th house and Pluto down in the 3rd house. The moon is also her co-ruler. So Hannah is represented by Pluto, Mars, and the moon. Whatever, the 10th house is law enforcement. The 10th houses could be also how the public views this. And this particular case, the Facebook page had over 50,000 people in it. And this had just started. I mean, she just really disappeared around November the 11th. It's just not even going on a month. So this case was really starting to pick up a lot of steam via the True Crime Network and via social media. So 50,000 is a lot of people. A GoFundMe to have like $48,000 in it is a huge amount when a case just breaks open. So if we look at the chart, I was curious about the GoFundMe. Don't ask me why. I just thought, well, got the second house. We've got Mercury by the pink arrow in the second house of money. And we follow the line up to the 8th house, Jupiter, large amounts of money. 8th house usually is the house of death in a crime chart. This is a voluntary missing persons. So let's look at it from mundane astrology. The 8th house is other people's money. Is that the GoFundMe? Communicating about large amounts of money, which is other people's money. Gemini up there tells us that's 2 people involved. Don't know, because she stated on her text messages that all of her funding was gone. She had no money. Now, how did she buy a bus ticket to get to Mexico if she didn't have any money? Did she meet somebody in Mexico? Is she there? Who knows? But I thought that was interesting that money showed up. Large amounts, which $50,000 is a large amount. So let's look at the 3rd house. Well, what do you know? We've got Venus in the 3rd house. Now in a crime chart, the 3rd house represents what the victim is doing. Are they, let's say Mercury's in the 3rd house. Mercury can also be a car. That means the person's in a car. Victims these are the victims, victims' movements. Well, we know she doesn't have a car. Who is Venus? We know there's an aunt, and we know there's a sister, and I believe there's also a mother. Mother would be the moon. Oh, wait a minute. 3rd house is siblings. Okay. So we've got maybe perhaps a female sibling. Okay. She's represented by Mars. So that sibling, Venus, is connected to her. I mean, it's crazy. Crazy. Chris said Venus flytrap. I know. This case is a Venus frickin' flytrap, I'll tell you. So let's look at the 5th house. Neptune. Well, she's caught on camera. We know that. She's caught on camera. Let's see. Oops, I'm sorry. My neighbor's alarm is going off on their car, so I'm sorry. Whoops. Oh, geez, it's like so cold out. What a day and night for your alarm to go off. Oh, they got it. Okay, so we look at the moon. It's connected up there with Mars, which represents her as well. Day-to-day activities. Okay. Uranus, surprise, shocked. I think, from what the family is saying, Hannah has done this before, but it is a surprise and it's shocking to all of us. What's interesting with Uranus is the sun is in the 1st house, and that would represent her father. So shocking would be the father. So I think the shocking events with her father being unalived, that represents that. That's her chart. Right now, I don't know what you all your thoughts are, chat. We know it's not, taking someone against their will. We know that. We know that she's not been taken against her will. Who is she with? Who did she meet in Mexico? You just don't wander around Tijuana, Mexico, with your luggage. It's dangerous. Lisa, think someone cooked up a scheme to get GoFundMe money. I don't know. I don't know, Lisa, but it does. It clearly shows up in the chart because the second house represents money, and it's up there with Jupiter. It's connecting with Jupiter up in the 8th house, which is other people's money. What else does Jupiter represent? Abundance. Jupiter makes everything larger, mass amount. That's got to be the GoFundMe. $50,000 is a lot of money to me. So I want to know the female that she's communicating with. Could be a cousin. Could be siblings are in the 3rd chart. There's a female that knows more than what they're leading on. 10th house also, like I said, represents law enforcement. They know a lot more than what is ever being released in this. Do I think she's in danger? Not at all. Nope. This is not a crime chart. So what do you guys think? What are your intuitive feelings? Welcome, Manchester, UK. I watched, welcome, hun. I watched the royal family on YouTube today. I thought it was really cool because I think Catherine, I love to look at Catherine's clothes. So I watched a little event that was going on in the UK. Plus, I love the UK. Love the UK. Denise, a lot of strange events happening. Yeah, there's a lot. It's going to get stranger too, Denise. I'm telling you guys, with this, Neptune was in retro. It's now going forward, and it's going to be heading into Aries, where it hasn't been, changing. It hasn't been there since 1861. Neptune has not been in Aries since 1861. So that's going to be interesting. Yes, they did, Linda. They said she did this before. Yes. And another thing, law enforcement did state that, going through her Instagram and her social media, she had talked about going off the grid. She had discussed going off the grid, which that's fine to go off the grid, but call your family and tell them you're going off the grid. You don't do that to your family members. And she's 31 years old. She knows better. You call your family. Unless there's some kind of a family dynamic that we don't know about. That could be. Chris Fox. What if she was being used somehow to draw in her father? Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes. And I thought it was odd that her father was not in her life. Apparently she's got a stepfather that's in her life. Apparently there's a stepfather that's in her life, but her father was not. So that would be a real darn shame. She has to know that something had happened to him. The drones are coming. Yeah, they are. Uranus is going into Gemini, sure. Pluto just went into Aquarius. Yeah, they're coming. Yeah, are you talking about they talked about the drones on the news? And the aliens are coming too. So get ready for all that crap. It's all coming. Don't believe it. It's another lockdown scam. Well, if I told you if an alien lands here, I'm going to ask them if they would take me to Florida because it's cold here. Can I take a bag and can I take the cat with me? Can I mean it wouldn't take them that long to fly me to Florida. They can come back here and hang out. I don't care. As long as they clean up after themselves. Bring the aliens. It is, Linda. It is. What do you guys think about this case? What are your thoughts? We got a couple minutes. The astrology. Usually when I see a crime chart, it just bam, like bam, 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 comes out and flies at me. Her daddy's chart did. That was like a bam, 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 bam. This one did not. So I just think there's a lot of moving parts to this case that we don't know about. And it's like the family got out of Facebook. They got off of social media. They don't want anybody really bothering them, which I get, I get it, but they still want people to, pass the word around that Hannah is in danger. In danger. Well, the police are saying differently. There's a lot of he said, she said. Here's Daddy's chart. Here's Dad's chart. So, is it possible the stepfather or mother felt threatened? I don't know. I don't know. She's 31 years old. So, I mean, 31 years old. You know what's interesting with Dad in his chart is there are secrets because the 12th house, he's represented by the moon, okay? Here we go with the moon. It's in the 12th house, which is things that are hidden. Scandals that are hidden because it's hooked up with Neptune as well. Right on that descendant. So we're going to get some information come out on Dad regarding something is hidden. He was hiding something. So we'll have to wait and see on that one. Up in the midheaven, everybody knows about it. I know, hun. That's how we figure stuff out. It's just there's so many questions. Maybe there was a lot more dynamics going on, Linda, with the mom and the dad and the stepdad and sister. We don't know. But I think if you've got a missing loved one and you want people to talk about them and open up the floor, you have to be transparent with the public as well. If you're asking, YouTubers and 50,000 people to help you, and people do help, they get the word out, and to search, you have to be transparent with the people. You just, I think you should. But, we'll see what the private eye comes up and says. We'll see what happens. I think we're going to have ET disclosure. We're having it. I don't know what you guys are, but we're having a lot of it here in the States right now. A lot of disclosure. They had congressional hearings about 3 weeks ago, and they discussed it. I think they've been here. I guess. I wish they'd take me to Florida where it's cool, where it's warm. And Denise says, I wonder if he had ties in Mexico. The father? Exactly. Did the father have ties in Mexico? Again, did they have cartel connections? We don't know. And everybody's being a little tight-lipped about it. But apparently the law enforcement does not feel that she's in danger. They don't feel that she's having a mental breakdown. She said she was going to go on she was going on a spiritual awakening. A spiritual awakening. It's crazy. I'm so sorry to hear that, Chris. That happens, hun. There's another case that we've looked at and we've worked on with a little boy. Well, he's a man, but I call him a boy. He's young. He's in his 20s. Was Aiden Clune, and he had some mental issues. Send me the information, Chris, if you've got when he was last seen, when he last sent a text message, when he was last seen on a camera, and the address so I can map it, and the date, and I need an accurate time. I'd be happy to do a chart for you. I'd be happy to do that. We had a case, a young girl was just found from 11 years ago, I think. I think it's 11 or 12 years ago. And she had just come out of rehab and was out and about on the streets for about a month and then disappeared. And so we had looked at it, and now they found her remains just a couple days ago, about a week ago, I believe. They found them. So people are found all the time. And so I'm going to look at that one again, too, because now that we know where her remains were found, we might be able to glean some things out of the astrology again. So I'll go with you. I'll have them come up to PA. I'll tell them we have to make a pit stop. Just make a little right. We can be there in a couple of minutes. You know, if aliens took me, they would probably drop me off, Lee, at your house and say, we're getting the hell out of here. We don't want to deal with this nut. No, just, you can PM me. You can PM me, Joni Templeton Skinner. You can PM me. You can send it to me. Okay, you guys, does anybody have any info? I mean, I know this case is it's a head scratcher, isn't it, you guys? It's a head scratcher. It is a head scratcher. Miss Lee, Kyron Richard Horman disappeared from Skyline Elementary in Portland. I remember that. Wasn't that was there a stepmother involved with that? Something to that. I remember that. I think if that's the same case. Was she arrested? I don't know. Oh, okay. So Denise, I will, Denise. I'll just tell him go north, make a right, go to PA, and then we got to head up to Ontario. I'll do it. It's too cold. We don't like it. I think if that's the case I'm thinking of, I remember that from years back. If that's the same case, that little boy, if that would, yeah. So the stepmother was arrested, I believe. Yes. Yes. I will. I'll come get you. Well, you guys, those are the cases for tonight. So keep your eyes open for any info on Hannah. It's just a darn shame about her dad. You know, I don't care if she didn't have any contact with him or not. It's a darn shame. It's just very, very sad. Very, very sad. And again, here we are with our New York assassin, Brian Thompson, keep an eye out for this one because there's a lot of money involved with this one. And it's an open enemy, and I think they're gonna find out who did it. That's just a matter of time. I think they may even know who did it. All right, you guys, that's Hannah's case. And we will be back. What's today? The 4th, the 11th, with another case. I'll see if I can, the gal that was found that we looked at a couple of years ago, show you her case next week. So, all right, you guys. Well, listen, have a great week. Try to stay warm if you're in a cold zone. I know I am. Everybody stay warm. And I know Michelle's not. She's down by the Gulf, and we're all jealous of that. But have a great week, everybody. And like I said, Neptune's acting weird. So just kind of laugh it off and go, yep, it's the astrology. That's the astrology. It's very, very weird. So everybody have a great week. Have a great weekend coming up, and stay warm unless you're near a warm ocean, and we're all jealous. We're all jealous of it. So you guys have a great week. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you guys next Wednesday at 8 p.m. for another Mysteries Beyond the Scenes. So everybody have a great week. Talk to you then.